Hello everyone, this is Colin on the ASCA League channel, and here we are for the Pennzoil Pro Series, race 14 at Richmond, and now we are 3 races out from the chase cutoff, and things are starting to get tense around the cut line as these drivers battle to make their way in. Here's their starting grid with Ryan Kendall in the front row with Jay Barker, a great starting spot by the Red Vibe Racing Dodge, looking to gain some points, maybe a little bit of a long shot for the chase, but a good starting spot nonetheless. Looking back, also great starting spots out of Ruby Easton, Jesse Dalton for National Racing. Stuart Gratt and Ryan Dunn, also drivers around the cut line like Daniel Foyles and Eric Willis as well. All these drivers trying to fight in to that top 20 in points. Sergio Larvin Alonso making Overdrive Motorsports start 2 of their cars inside the top 20, and August Eberhard as well with a good starting spot. We see back here Conrad Cooper, another driver looking to fight his way in, as well as Brian Lenning trying not to be 20th in points going into the chase. And a couple of surprises like Nicholas Samudio in the 96, didn't expect him to start towards the back. And Nick Purcell's going to a backup car after losing a tire in qualifying. And a couple cars not in the race like Jack Porkins and Chase Marks after having a phenomenal run last week. Pace car is off and the green flag is in the air to start racing for the first time at daytime at Richmond. And off the corner, Ryan Kendall's going to get a bit of a jump over Barker. But Barker is going to slip back just a little bit now as Kendall will complete the pass. Derek Petrie, though, coming on the inside. Your Pocono winner looking strong. He's going to make a move now in the 17 car. Oh, and they almost touched there going down into turn 1. It looks like Petrie will keep the momentum off of the turn, though. And looks like he will get the better advantage here in turns 3 and 4. The inside line has proven time and time again to be the line that you want to be at. However, obviously there are other factors included, but the inside is generally the place to be, as we see Kyle Singer currently using that rule as he's going to try to get to the inside of your pole sitter. And Barker falling back as well. He'll fall to 5th as here comes Jay Durrell by in the 43 car. Durrell looking for another solid run as he's been on his way up in the points recently. Zygarde just behind him. A bunch of really top drivers here coming into the mix here as you see riding on board Michael Jones in the back. Just about midfield. Last week's winner, we saw him pretty much dominate Dover last week and was able to cap off his 3rd win of the season. And looking to try to get 4 going into the chase, that'll be a huge boost of momentum. And the last time we saw a driver with that much momentum, it was Jay Durrell, who ended up winning the chase. But as you see, the 26 car is not being driven by Chloe Baker anymore. In an agreement, Malley Motorsports has put Cesar Chavez in the 26 for the rest of the season. It was announced earlier in the week that Cesar and Jack Porkins will be taking over 2 cars at Malley Motorsports, and a bunch of their drivers, except for Addison Steinbach, will be leaving the team after the season. And that resulted in the team taking a little bit of a preemptive notice and getting Cesar Chavez some time in that 26 car for next season. And we see the car they used to drive here, it's vacant, but it will be driven by their WT Motorsports' fill-in driver Joseph Srigley in the 03 car. He filled in for Jack Porkins earlier in the year, but the 03 car was able to make this race this time, unlike Michigan earlier in the season, and Srigley's going to try to give it a good run, however running towards the back of the field right now. As we see earlier in the going right now, Derek Petrie is pulling out to a quite sizable lead, and behind him the Big Motorsports teammates of Kyle Singer and Webster Zygarde really showing some muscle here early on. But I wouldn't count out Eric Willis either. He's come up from outside the top 4 rows and to get into that 4th place spot, and he is looking very strong right now. He's actually a teammate to your pole sitter Ryan Kendall, but unlike Kendall, Eric Willis has been moving forward. Kendall has been just on the drop recently, and he is dropping back now, under attack by all 3 of the motors of the National Racing cars, or 3 of the 4, I should say. Barker as well, the outside line not paying dividends to either of the top 2 in qualifying, as they are definitely suffering and right now falling outside the top 10. We're looking at Cody Russell right now in the 77, the only Big Motorsports car not running inside the top 3. In fact, he is outside the top 20 right now, battling with Stuart Gratt and Sergio Larvin Alonso. Taking them 3 wide right now. Sergio having to back out of that situation, almost under attack by Nick Purcell's. But uncharacteristic like to see Cody Russell running in the back, especially when all of his teammates are up front, but they've just not had the speed this week in that 77 Chevrolet. I'm looking to try to get any points, but at the moment they are pretty much safe and confirmed into the chase. Ruby Easton, we mentioned, started very well, however slipping back just a little bit. Overdrive Motorsports rumored to be going to 3 cars, but beyond that, they have already announced that Ruby Easton will be returning to this team in 2018. However, they will be rebranding the number into the number 33 for Ruby Easton. They have sold the number rights to Malley Motorsports, and Ruby Easton will actually be accompanied by a Malley Motorsports driver, Sam Rogers, who will race the 75 in wake of Hergiel's absence. We're not sure where Hergiel will go, but that is currently still up in the air. As we're looking in the back, things are still getting very dicey in the back of the field here. The front of the field has kind of mellowed out a little bit, but it is still racy from about 20th on back as we're looking at the battle between Zach Cars and John Gilbert. Gilbert having a solid run right now in that 61 car for Tanker Motorsports. But as you see at the front, the lead has definitely stretched out a little bit. Derek Petrie just pulling the lead out every single lap he goes by just hundredths, but it's going to be enough to keep Webster Zygarde, his teammate, at bay. And if I look back in 3rd place, I see Brian Boone has moved into the mix as well, and he has taken a spot from Kyle Singer. But how about National Racing? They've been on a bit of a downward slope recently. Aaron Lukes hasn't had the best of finishes or qualifying results, so him having a top 10 right here is a very good boost in momentum for your Daytona 500 winner. Jesse Dalton also back here, and he's actually had almost worse qualifying results than his teammate Aaron Lukes, but he's been able to actually salvage some good results, so the 9 car actually on an upward slope in comparison to his teammates. As we're looking at the 43 car, the J. Darrell Fitzwater Australia Racing Dodge, he'll be having a teammate for the first time since 2014 when he had a one-off start by Samantha Jones, in the 59 car, but they will be bringing the 59 back to the Pennzoil Pro Series, and it'll be driven by Stuart Gratton, currently racing for Team SFR. That spot has not been confirmed as who will be replacing Stuart Gratton, but it'll be interesting to see if the Fitzwater Australia Racing camp will benefit from having 2 cars to look at notes and trade-offs, since they had pretty much been the lone guns without any teammates for the longest time, and it definitely has paid off in previous years, obviously, as they are your 2015 champions. Looking at Jose Vaquez, WT Motorsports is in a completely different boat. It is unsure of where they will be going at this point. Ownership has actually been up in the air right now. It looks like a car is coming down pit road. That's Kyle Singer, and a little bit of an unscheduled pit stop. This is earlier than we expected, and it does not look like anyone else is coming down, so a problem on the 11 car looks like that was out of the top 5. And that's got to be leaving Big Motorsports scratching their heads as what's going to happen there. We saw Nick Purcell's lose a tire in qualifying. That set him way back in the field. He's been actually making his way out through the field. But as you see, actually, we are going to have pit stops, though, just a few laps later. And even these are a little bit earlier than we expected. So we will have to see how these impact the race as it goes on. This is before halfway, so the leaders are setting themselves up to make it on 2 stops rather than just 1. And as we see, Derek Petrie will hold the lead out of pit stops with Zygarde and Boone carrying up 2nd and 3rd. But as you see, the lead has actually decreased quite a lot. It's now under a 2nd. And 2 cars actually remaining on pit road, Jose Vaquez and Blaine Keys. And if Blaine Keys' season can't get any worse, he's going to be held on pit road for a while. It looks like both cars are having some sort of an issue. And it's something mechanical on the 18, but the 60 we're still not sure. And we're hearing that maybe Kyle Singer had a flat tire in the making, so definitely a good catch there, as it seems like maybe the tire wear might be coming into play here at Richmond. We haven't raced here in the day since the series beginning. Usually it's been a chase cutoff night race, but as obviously as this is, they've moved the race up 2 races and changed it to the day, so maybe it could be having an effect that we may not have anticipated, like tire wear. But looking at Brian Boone, he's been able to make his way out through the field. He's kind of stalled out at 3rd right now, but you can never count out your points leaders. He looks like he'll just continue to build a points lead over his competitors. But as we see Kyle Singer, he came down for that unscheduled pit stop. That was about 5 or 6 laps earlier than the rest of the field. But that will actually keep him on the lead lap now that things have cycled back around. And if he can get a caution before he has to make another pit stop and after the rest of the field has made their pit stops, he'll be all right and will be on the same schedule as the rest of the field. But definitely a good idea to make sure he did not end up losing a tire and hitting the wall, because after all, it doesn't seem to have affected him that much. DW Motorsports, though, a shout out to them. They have gotten both their cars into the race, which is an accomplishment in itself, but they have both top 15 runs going. Matthew Brown in the 21 and August Eberhard in the 24. The team is expected to make 2018 announcements next week in their driver lineup and their plans going forward. But they are definitely showing some speed here today, which is the perfect opportunity to let in on some future plans. But as we're looking at the leaders, they are stuck in traffic for sure. As you see, it looks like a Martinsville race here going, because the leaders are right at the tail end of the lead lappers, and they are having a difficult time making it by. And we're riding on board Webster Zygarde now as Derek Petrie in front of him tries to attempt to make it around the 22 car. Brian Lenning looking to try to have a successful race here in order to better himself for the chase, and it looks like he's not having that today as he's going a lap down. But as for Petrie, he was able to make him by pretty easily, as Zygarde maybe having a little bit more difficulty, as the 22 looks like he is going to drop down in front of the 12 now, and lap car is definitely having effect on this race here. But up a little bit further up, we see Ryan Dunn. Double T Motorsports has this driver on their roster, and he is doing very well. Currently inside the top 20, and Dunn looking to try to make the chase as definitely one of the hopefuls, one of the best drivers in the field, but just unfortunately did not have a good season last year with Old Spice Racing. This year, though, he's seeming to just kind of lay low and have some good results, and that's going to be maybe enough if he has some good runs in the next 2 races in order to put him inside the chase. But obviously things can happen then. He's just got to hold on for 3 more races, including this one. And Haley Wish, this is an amazing run out of the Bob Motorsports camp, that the 4 car is running inside the top 20. Not been able to make races recently, but had made this one and is successfully performing in it. And looking at Logan Sanders, we remember last week he got a top 14 result in that race. This week he's getting a top 10. The 09-centric Ford has had a rough start to the season, but maybe he's starting to turn things around now. That's your Covenant Amateur Series champion. Maybe he's starting to try to race with these drivers up in the Pennzoil Pro Series. And he's actually already started to qualify for more races, as it seems, as he has progressed throughout the season. And Blaine Keys, you remember he was down on pit road earlier in the race, along with Jose Vaquez. Both those cars are now more than 1 lap down. Unsure of what happened to Keys. Jose Vaquez was something mechanical, an electrical issue, but they were able to get it fixed and get him back out there. But as for Blaine Keys, this season has not gone well. He's not even inside the top 28 in points, and very unlikely that he'll make the chase at this point, which is very depressing for the team, because they made it with ease last year, and this year it looks like they will not even be a part of it. As we're looking at a few drivers that are just in front of the leaders, actually a few surprises back here. Zach Komoski, who's had a few good races. That team has started to bring themselves back up after having a poor start to the season. Brian Lenning, we already mentioned. Kyle Collins and Sam Rogers also in the back as well. And as we're looking at your leaders now, here comes Derek Petrie. He's under attack by Webster Zygarde now. And we haven't seen anyone challenge Petrie for the lead yet. And Zygarde is going to try to make the second lead lap pass of the day. And he will make it underneath the 53 car. And the Fossil Watches Chevrolet is going to take the lead. Maybe not without a fight, though. Petrie now coming back on the outside. But as we've seen today, the outside is just not the preferred line. And the 12 will make it by. Zygarde looking for his 3rd win of the year. And it's hard to believe that he is the worst running driver in points out of his teammates. But that does stand as the case, as he is 7th going into this race, while all 3 of his teammates are 6th or higher. Definitely showing that Big Motorsports is just the big fist in the series right now, and just punching out the competition. And at the moment, they look like they have this race wrapped up, but you gotta remember, pit stops can always play a factor, and I wouldn't look too far back, because Brian Boone is right there laying in wait as we ride on board with him. He is now on the back bumper of the 53 car. We're trying to get there as Petrie still struggles with the lap traffic, moving Arsha Sane out of the way, it looks like, maybe using the bumper just a little bit. And Brian Boone, though, is just, it doesn't look like he has the quickest car here today, at least not to compete with the Chevys. But he definitely has a car that can compete for a win if something goes wrong in front of him. And talk about a battle, we saw the front three up there, but how about the battle for fourth between Aaron Lukes, Kyle Singer, and Jay Durrell as these guys are going at it. And Kyle Singer was a part of the Big Motorsports trio that started off the race in the front, but obviously had a bit of a tire malfunction earlier in the race. Did not send him back too far, and he's currently rallying for top 5 run. Jay Barker, your outside pole sitter, running 7th just behind these drivers. As for Jay Durrell, though, he's trying to have a successful run. As we see your pole sitter coming down pit road, Ryan Kendall, the team has elected to bring him in just a little bit earlier than the rest of the field, it looks like. Oh, and some more cars actually coming down pit road. There's your third place runner, Brian Boone, in the 70. And it looks like Kendall has sparked a round of green flag pit stops just outside 10 laps to go. And as we look here, we got your leader coming down, Webster Zygaard, with the double zero of Nick Purcell's also following down. And Derek Petrie will lead the top 3 off. And as you see, Aaron Lukes also coming down pit road. We had a bit of an issue on pit road. August Eberhard, having a great run today, is going to run into the side of Zach Komoski exiting his pit. And he was having a solid run today, but it's all going to come crashing down with that maneuver. And unfortunate for August Eberhard, is that is not what he wanted to see after doing DW Motorsports really proud right now. We have one car still out on the track at the moment, and we are now down to just 5 laps to go. It's Rick Witt, and he's going to stay out again. And Witt really looking strong here as he is going to keep his car out on the track. Could we possibly see another fuel strategy game? We saw with Kyle Collins at Canadian Tire, he was able to stretch it farther than any of us imagined. And Rick Witt, he might be on the same plan to do the same. Oh, it's not gonna happen, as Rick Witt will bring his car down pit road, and now will end strategy as he is the last car now to come down pit road. And now recycle the lead out to Webster Zygaard. As you see, Rick Witt coming now back up on track. He will actually gain some spots out of that. It looks like he'll be in contention for top 5. But at the moment, it's Webster Zygaard up front. But Brian Boone has found his way up to second in front of Derek Petrie. And we could see a race between 2 of the top teams in the sport right now, as Zygaard's still maneuvering through this lap traffic. But if he catches a car the wrong way, that might be Boone's chance to make it in. But at the moment, Zygaard holds a pretty comfortable lead coming to the white flag, and Brian Boone still has to make it past another lap car. Zach Komoski right in between them, and that's exactly what the 12 wants to see, as Boone will not be able to make a move. And like right now, it's smooth sailing. Around turn 3 and 4, not competing with the lap cars, but competing for the win. Checkered flag goes to Webster Zygaard as he'll score his 3rd win of the season, now tying Brian Boone, who got his 3rd win last week. And Zygaard putting his name among the favorites for the championship in just 10 races. And Zygaard looking very strong here today. Was able to get past Derek Petrie, who led much of the first half of the race. And Big Motorsports in general, super well off this race and showing they own Richmond pretty much. Brian Boone almost had a shot to win it there at the end, but is just going to come up short. Petrie will come back with a 3rd, and Rick Witt, surprisingly, that strategy ended up paying off for him as he'll finish 4th. Aaron Lukes will finish off the top 5. Jay Durrell, Jay Barker, and Addison Stanback will be in the top 8. And how about Cesar Chavez from Alley Motorsports coming home 11th? Your pole sitter Ryan Kendall will slip back to 19th, not what he wanted to see. An excellent run by Joseph Strigley, the fill-in driver for the 03. And how about Haley Wish? Had struggled in making races, but when she does, she'll finish 19th. And a bunch of cars finishing a lap down here. A lot of strong cars like Kyle Collins, Sam Rogers, Eric Willis, who was running up front a lot of the days, slipped back due to pit stops. Nick Purcell's in general just really wanted this week to be over. And here are your point standings leaving Richmond with just 2 races left in the main season. Brian Boone now 284 markers ahead of everyone else. Kyle Collins a full race behind the leader, with your winner now, Webster Zygaard, still the lowest out of all of his teammates on the grid, but still in a very comfortable spot. But as for the cut line, you see it is intense. Gary Weaver's in by 5, but there are 3 drivers trailing by 5 points. Addison Stanback, Daniel Voiles, and Eric Willis. But the battle for the cut line will only get more intense as we get to later and later races. The next race we'll see you at is Martinsville.
Every sky will build my